I'm Gary Kasulu. I'm an optician with a special interest in social media, and here I am. I'm joined by Fiona. So tell us your role here, and then I'm going to ask you some questions. Five or six questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm part of the legal team at the AOP. I'm the Assistant Director of Legal Services. I have been an optometrist many moons ago, but now I work primarily for defending optometrists who get themselves into hot water.
Can you give us an overview of what not to do on social media?
You shouldn't be discussing any patients' names, and actually not even specific cases that you want to talk about. But I think what is less obvious is when practitioners talk about a patient they've seen, but not given any details or names. It is possible that somebody will see that information and then attach it to the person to whom they're referring without actually having a name. Mm-hmm. So again, a more unusual patient, a more unusual circumstance, you might find somebody can link that to somebody else.
Yeah.
So even anonymising, in inverted commas, what you're saying doesn't always make it.
So this isn't like a conversation in the pub. This could be seen by thousands.
Absolutely.
Which still is not right in the pub, but we need to be super careful before you press the send button, the tweet button. Think 3 or 4 times, 10 times about what implications that could lead to.
Absolutely. And again, if you've been out partying with friends, perhaps doing something you shouldn't have been doing, I don't know, taking illegal substances, you really don't want to put that across the media either. My understanding, and I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong, is that actually nothing is secure on the web, and there are ways of hacking into information and seeking that.
So even something like Snapchat that apparently only stays for 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Remember, there's screenshots. It's very, very easy to capture that. So anything you do on the web and anything digital is going to be there forever. In my mind, this is one of the most tricky questions. I'm at opticians on Twitter, so I get lots of patients asking me questions. They take pictures of their eye and they ask for a diagnosis. Can you give me some advice on what not to do and how I should handle that? Because I kind of feel a duty of care to at least tell them to take action if I feel it's serious.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as a professional, if you are aware that something is going wrong for a patient and you've got that knowledge, I think you do have a duty to act. However, I think if somebody's sending over Facebook a picture of a red eye or a comment, I've got these symptoms, my advice would not be to respond in that public forum, is that you should take or the email address or whatever
private message
and respond privately.
Okay.
Although the patients put their problems out into the public domain, you as a practitioner, I don't think are in a position to respond publicly, because it's possible that the patient, they're asking you the question as to what's wrong with them. They don't know the answer. And actually, when they do know the answer, they may not want that in the public domain. The other thing that occurred to me is that if you have this offer for patients to email in their difficulties or their problems, if you are not looking at that web page every day, I think you need to have something at the top of that page saying how frequently this is looked at. Because the last thing you want is a patient emailing something in urgent, it's not looked at, they assume because there's no response that it's not urgent and carry on regardless. So I think you need something to make it clear that how often it's looked at, or if the patient doesn't get a response and they're very concerned, to contact whoever, their optometrist, their GP or whatever.
Fiona, my next question is really, where's the correct place for clinicians to discuss issues on social media and digital?
It's quite difficult, because I think in this sort of electronic age and technological age, there must be ways for clinicians to share information safely. But I think it's a matter for each forum to consider what media they're working in and whether it is absolutely safe. I go back to the previous problem about, as I understand it, anything can be hacked.
Correct.
But I think some of it obviously is illegal hacking, but I think you've got to know your settings, know your privacy, and keep it within that.
Say, for instance, a photograph on Facebook. How much trouble can that get you in?
Well, actually, quite a lot. Photographs of nights out, some of them are just so inappropriate. It is quite acceptable for a professional to have a bit of fun, but it's where you post pictures that perhaps other people may find offensive, or indeed of you behaving stupidly, or actually doing something illegal. Certainly the latter, if it becomes known to the GOC, or indeed your employers, could find yourself in hot water. If a patient comes across your Facebook page, you've got to think you may be imparting quite serious information to them, and if they've seen a photograph of you partying and up to hijinks, there's just a real problem with professionalism, I feel.
I think it's a really good idea. If you type your name into Google and then press the image button, have a look, try and tidy up what you've got there. You're in optics now. Optometry is a respected profession, a regulated, proud profession. Go back, look back and tidy up your history on social media.
Don't forget that privacy settings can reset themselves to public, and then you find that everything is everywhere.
If, for instance, somebody gives me a bad review online, and there's no truth to it whatsoever, what kind of implications can that cause, and how do I respond correctly?
It's quite difficult, actually. A bad review, could affect your business, and I can absolutely see that from a businessman's perspective. It's also very difficult to respond substantively because you have an issue with patient confidentiality.
Absolutely.
I think sometimes some of the review pages, you only have an opportunity to respond once.
That's right.
And again, I think you've got to be careful how you respond and try and, in essence, put it to bed. But you've got to do so without compromising patient confidentiality. My advice is certainly to take legal advice before you post anything of that nature.
Great.
Certainly AOP members can come to us.
Perfect.
There are also issues where matters are completely untruthful, whether you've got other remedies through that web page of having those comments removed. But again, you've still got this issue about confidentiality and how far you can go.
That's great advice. You're always happy to pick up the phone just to clear things up. I'm sure there's lots and lots of questions you've got. This is going to be on YouTube. Add a comment below and we'll see if we, as the OP, can answer those questions, because really you've given such good value and I appreciate your wisdom, certainly as a business owner. Thank you very much.